mine.
Well, I was worried for nothing, I guess, boys.
She of forge and motion. We that fail.
Hey guys, so I'm back with my Glacial Lance Deadeye, and since the build guide, I've actually made quite a few changes to the build for both the tree and the setup and everything, and I wanted to share that with y'all today. Now, part of this update also included buying a lot of items that are kind of expensive. So where our character is at right now is basically, like, I'd say 30 div or so above where we were at before, but we'll get into that in a second. Right now we are on Mommy Viper. We got a level. We are now level 95. And here are our stats. We are at 209 Dex, 225 Intelligence, 1300 Life, 2,245 Energy Shield, 1k Mana, 285 Spirit, and we have all our resistances capped out except, again, Chaos Resistance. So that is still a low priority for me. But that is our character right now. And when we go into our gear itself, you can see that we have made quite a few changes. Well, maybe you can't see it, but we have made quite a few changes to our gear. We are currently rocking a Hoa, which I actually updated on the Mobalytics. Actually, everything on here is already updated on Mobalytics. But we are currently rocking a Hand of Wisdom action. And also, we upgraded to a Sacred Flame. This is where most of my money went in, and it was definitely very well worth it. A huge damage boost. But yeah, so other than that, you know, we just changed up a couple of things here and there. Like, I think I got a new helmet since last time. I also got new boots. It's an energy shield boot now. And I think I also got a new chest because this doesn't come with a ton of spirit compared to our old scepter. So we had to get a chest armor with more spirit to support everything that we are using currently for our character. We are still using a Beacon of Aziz. It is the same one as before. I just corrupted it. But eventually I will be upgrading off of this. And the footage that you saw earlier with the Zesht, the T4 Zesht, that was with this current gear setup. Now, I will fully expect that once we upgrade to a better amulet with a +3 projectile skills and also crit damage, we will very likely be able to one-shot Zesht. But at the same time, even if we can't do that, we still have more to upgrade, because if you noticed in that video, I had 0 rage going into that because we currently are capped out on skills. We don't have any skill slots left. So if I really wanted to, I could take off Herald of Thunder and then slap in a Orb of Storms and go in rage and do that. But I really don't want to do that. I want to try to have as little swaps as possible because we do have quite a few swaps already to go into our one-shot setup. So I would like to ideally get an unset ring, like this one or something like that, get the same stats except have an extra skill slot. That's going to be kind of pricey, I would expect. I haven't really looked on the market recently, but there are quite a few things that we can still get this character up with to make it stronger. Also, Hand of Wisdom action, it is not corrupted to have a 1 to 12 lightning damage. That is another area that we can get more damage on. So this character is nowhere near its ceiling right now for one-shotting. So I would fully expect that once I get some of these upgrades, we will easily be able to one-shot Zesht and any tier 4 bosses with it. And if you guys really wanted to, you could probably just swap over to Wind Serpent's Fury plus, like, I don't know, like Infernal Cry, and you'll be able to one-shot that thing easy. Like, if you really want to do that, that's something that you can do. But the goal for this character is to make it so that Glacial Lance is what we use for every single thing we do in the game. So that is where we're coming from. Now, since last video, of course, that's the equipment situation. We do, again, have a weapon swap that we swap over to. We'll even swap over the Sacred Flame when we do that. And then we also swap over to the Deepest Tower. So when we're doing our bossing setup, it'll kind of look like this, right? For our equipment. And then we also have some gear swaps and stuff as well. Yeah, there's a lot of swapping. Hopefully, eventually, we'll be able to cut down on these as we get stronger. But right now, this is where we're at. So we have this for our one-shot setup. We are also going to replace on our Glacial Lance, we swap in Ambrosia for Ice Bite and Close Combat for Perpetual Power. And we also do a funny little swap here that we do with our belt. So what this does is that it makes it so that we have a mana flask on both of our flask slots, while we cannot use the mana flask here on our character. Like, we can't press the button and heal with it. It will still use the flask when using Ambrosia. So this will make it so you have a ton more damage. Also, another place we can get more damage, actually. Our flasks do not have increased flask charges on them right now. So we are still at the base flask charges. So if we have an upgraded flask with maximum flash charges on both of these, that is a lot more damage as well. But yeah, this is going to be our full one-shot setup that we have going right now. Again, we weren't able to one-shot it. We got the two-shot in, but, you know, eventually I am fully confident that we will be able to get the one-shot once we've gotten some of these upgrades for our character. To be honest, even with, I think, the maximum rage, we might be able to one-shot that without, like, you know, anything else to our equipment, even still using this Beacon of Disease. But yeah, so that is the current setup right now for the one-shot setup and our character. We use, you know, all these kind of swaps, and hopefully we'll be able to start taking off some of these swaps as we go. But, you know, with this setup, we can one-shot map bosses very easily. We can one-shot most things in the game. It's just T4 Pinnacles that we can't one-shot. But yeah, since the last video, I have changed up some of the skills and setups. So Herald of Thunder, I have went ahead and 5-linked it. It's not very important. Embitter barely adds anything. Like, look at that. It's not that much. But we currently have Glaciation, Cold Infusion, Concentrated Effect, and Long Shot and Embitter on it. Your minimum requirement for this is going to be these 3, of course. We also have our Ice Lance, our Glacial Lance, pretty much the same. The things that we did change up was that I did end up putting on Overextend because, to be honest, we have really low life anyway, so we're kind of getting stunned by anything that hits us. So it really does make a difference there. And we're running a Stone Charm with 2 charges on it. So that pretty much takes care of all of the stun issues. And we are currently running Execute on here just because I'm too lazy to do the swap. Like, we're already swapping so many things. So I don't want to swap this gem either. So we're using Execute on it. I actually haven't tried it on map bosses since, so maybe we can actually just put back on Volt here and do that as our mapping setup. Actually, that probably will just work. So maybe instead of swapping in, what is it called? Actually, you know what? Sorry, not Volt. Let's do Close Combat, right? We'll do that. So our mapping setup will probably be like this. Primal Armament, Close Combat, Overextend, Perpetual Charge, and Ice Bite. And then when we go and do our stuff, we'll do the same swap. So yeah, this is probably going to be our setup. I'll maybe tinker around with it a little again to see if Volt is good or not. But right now we do plenty of lightning damage. We don't need Volt at all. Close combat probably is going to be just, you know, overall fine. Honestly, we had Execute before, which was pretty much doing nothing for us on mapping. So this is going to be an improvement regardless. So that's our current Glacial Lance setup. Cast on Freeze, I did end up getting a 5th link or 5th socket into this. So now we have Voltaic Mark. Impetus is what we added for our final socket. Reach, Magnified Effect, and Innervate. Of course, Ghost Dance is the same. Barrage is the same. Wind Dancer is the same. We are not using the Roa anymore, and instead we're using Trinity. Honestly, Trinity is probably overkill for mapping at this point. I could probably slap back on the Roa. But to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Roa. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's a lot of work to kind of manage my stun gauge. So maybe I'll experiment again with using the Roa, but if you're not using Roa, you can use Trinity. If you're not using Trinity, use Roa. In bossing, I don't have a setup that will trigger Trinity. So the bossing setup for this is like, you don't even need this either. So there's that. And then we have Sniper's Mark, which is our last one, same as before, Inspiration and Arcane Tempo. Now, there was a really, really cool video put out by Snoobay, which I will put in the description below talking about putting 2 marks onto a cast on critical setup. Now, what I've found is that when I put it on my cast on freeze, it actually ruins the consistency of our Voltaic Mark Herald of Thunder procking. So I ended up having to take that back off and still keeping Sniper's Mark on a separate kind of manual button press. It would be nice if I could automate that and then maybe even take off Combat Frenzy, right? But I just haven't really found a way to do that. I might see if I might experiment around with cast on crit to see if that works. What I found is in the past, cast on crit is just very inconsistent with procking this again. It's much easier to proc it with cast on freeze, but I'll do some more experimentation and testing to see if that ends up working. But this is our current setup, and we're rocking Fire Mastery again, Cold Mastery, Lightning Mastery to get it scattered up. So yeah, that is our current gem setup and our equipment. For the tree, we did also change quite a few things here. I ended up going and putting a lot more stuff into the weapon swap stuff. So like we took this out into putting into our main primary weapon swap setup. We kind of changed this up, put this all in the primary weapon slot setup. Like we've changed a lot of things, even this, right? We don't really need survivability when we're one-shotting bosses. So we changed a lot of stuff here. Mainly the big change was this, where we went into the damage versus full life enemies, because I think I was at a 90% crit chance without this. So just one-shotting setups, you're going to want to be able to consistently crit against enemies as much as you can. So that's why we changed this, so that now we have a 100% chance to crit against enemies when we are up against single target. So that's what we ended up changing here. We just took out some stuff, changed around a couple of things. I also ended up adding in these nodes right here for more shock buildup and more freeze buildup, just to get more consistency again into the mapping, because our AoE clear largely depends on our ability to freeze and shock enemies. So just having this is just very nice. And also when we're bossing, we're mainly relying on our Glacial lands to shock as well, because we don't have any other shock setup. So that is another way to make it more consistent. But we also lastly added a Prism of Belief up here for +3 Glacial Lance skill, just again to boost up the damage. Right now, the thing that I am kind of running to that is a little bit of an issue is mana. It's not a big issue. I just need to press the mana flask a couple times during maps while we're mapping. But honestly, I would love it if I could just avoid that completely and not worry about mana at all. So I'm trying to figure out, like, maybe we slot in another mana on kill or something like that. Like, none of these are like optimized, right? None of these jewels are optimized. So we can probably find something better and get more mana on kill. Or maybe, you know, when we find a new accessory, we get some mana on kill there. That is another option. And that's what I was using before. I think I had on my gloves before I swapped on Hoa, which was I had no mana issues. But now that we've swapped over to Hoa, it is a little bit, you know, we do have to press our mana flask quite a few times during the maps. So it would be nice to alleviate that. But that is, you know, the update. The character is a lot stronger now, and it is looking closer and closer to being able to one-shot all the bosses in the game. And again, if you really wanted to just use Wind Serpent's Fury, you're probably just going to be able to one-shot it regardless. But I really want to do this Ice Kamehameha to be able to one-shot the bosses, so I am continuing down this journey and continuing to upgrade this character. At this point, again, I think I've spent probably 40 plus divs on this character, so we're not, I mean, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people spend way more on their characters to get it where I'm at, you know, our character's at. So, you know, take it for what it is, right? But yeah, that about wraps up the video. That is all the updates for now. I'm continuing to enjoy this character a ton, and it's still, I mean, honestly, it continues to be the most satisfying character I've played, but I might even say that this is my favorite character in Path of Exile so far. I said that about my Whirling Slash character, but right now I'm having so much fun. It is so satisfying and good to play this character. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully you are enjoying this character if you are playing it. And if you are not playing it yet, I would highly consider giving it a shot, because starting the character off is very, very cheap and very, very easy. There's been a lot of people saying that they're using it as their starter builds. They've been playing it through the campaign, and it just feels really, really good. So you guys should try it out. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, as I've said probably 3 times already. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, as well as letting me know any questions you have. And also, I stream every single night on twitch.tv/BSoXtrue. So it would be amazing if you guys can hang out with me there, and also ask me any questions while you're at it. And the sub button, yes. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the sub button, because it is the best way to support the channel, and it is completely free. So there it is. Hopefully I'll see y'all on my stream, but if not, hopefully I see you guys on the next video. All right, guys, peace.